One of the biggest challenges that all employers face today, I think, is the war for talent. How is it that you can attract the most talented, smartest candidates within your company and are singularly relying on job boards and recruiters enough? And what if, of course, in working with recruiters and job boards, you're still not getting the caliber of candidate that you're looking for? So one of the most underutilized ways, well, we'll go through one of the most underutilized ways of finding such people, but I just want to underline how imperative it is if you're trying to build a company of significant value or size that you can find brilliant people and then retain those brilliant people. And one of the crudest ways, one of the simplest, obvious ways of finding those people is casting a wider net as possible because not all people are using same platforms. Your next greatest candidate might not use LinkedIn, which might then preclude you from finding the next person that could change your company. So if we follow that logic through, it stands to reason that there's going to be limitations when you have single platform reliancy because you don't know where your next valuable person can come. And what's interesting with thinking about recruitment in these terms is that what you can then do, again, is a crude way to increase the quality of the candidates that you have come in. And this is when you're small and you're nimble and you're not restricted or constricted to very, very, very rigorous processes, or we only work with Indeed, or we only work with XYZ platform, or we don't work with anyone else, and our process is our process. If you're small or you're nimble, because you don't need to be small these days to be nimble, your competitive advantage is that there's a boatload of platforms out there and processes that you can use to really widen your applicant pool. So one of the things that's important to me at Pearl Lemon, which is what I always talk about, is that clearly quicker way because the math just supports it and people should think about these things in mathematical terms. If I want to get my next star, are you more or less likely to get that star if you can double or triple the volume of applications that you get per role? So if I have 1,000 people applying for a role that we're currently hiring for, which is a Chrome plugin developer, am I more or less likely to find the ideal candidate? And is that going to raise the overall standard of ultimately everyone who applies? When you have volume and then you can increase the minimum standard to work at your company, that's when everything else improves. So what happens is employers, you get a little bit desperate to a degree and you begin making compromises on the quality because urgency drives you to drop your standards. And actually, your urgency problem comes as a function of not increasing your pool wide enough. And that's why you struggle to find all of the applications or all of the applicants that you desire to apply for a role that you're looking at. Now, one of the other challenges that also sits underneath that is, of course, where you hire from. If you're restricted by geography, then your TAM, your total addressable market, is of course limited by that geography. So again, if you're small and you hire remote, and it's very common these days, but if you hire remote and also internationally, it means that your total addressable market is absolutely huge, which means there's a bigger fracture of candidates that exist on different platforms. So now think about, because if you're watching and you're a Brit and you think, well, if I'm trying to target someone and they're not active on LinkedIn, do I really want to have that person? Is that the same in different economies in the world? Is that how people do business? And also, a lot of talented people might be not concerned with LinkedIn because they're an avid blogger on Tumblr and they've built up a following of 300,000 followers and they've got a huge set of talent. So it can't be the sole way that you think about recruitment. Now, with all of that being said, what I want to talk to you today is something that's underutilized because if you're watching, you probably, and if you're not, please do it. You're using a range of job boards. And the interesting thing is that job boards, by the way, are also country specific. So there's job boards that are active in countries that are not international. So I encourage you to look in the geographies that you regularly hire from to find out where people are finding jobs from. And also to, if you identify let's say, platforms that are interesting, find out the local equivalent to see, well, where do I find people that are interested in tech or people that are interested in XYZ in this country? Because maybe they don't go to the platform that you used to hiring. So there's macro level platforms that exist internationally. A classic example of it will be LinkedIn, but there's also country specific job boards that you can look at. And once you find these job boards, with a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, these job boards don't go away. Or if they do go away, you'll still get the net benefit of potentially receiving an influx of several hundred candidates. We did something recently that's entirely changed the way that we recruit. It was quite simple. We went to Internshala, which was known as a platform in India of attracting a lot of candidates, and we aggressively negotiated with the team there at Internshala to get a discounted premium listing. Now, it's not important the platform as such. The important thing is that we decided to make that decision and we literally perhaps 10x'd our amount of applicants overnight because we went from not using Internshala to getting an additional 200 or 300 applications per position. So, of course, what has suddenly happened, the average quality of our applications has exploded because we're able to tap into the huge employment market in India. And all it took was registering on that platform, paying a premium because it's not free, but is it worth it? Absolutely, yes. So find these equivalent platforms in countries and make decisions as to the relative value. This is ironic because this isn't even what I'm here to talk about today. The next bucket that exists that you're not thinking about when it comes to hiring is there are huge marketplaces, forum-based platforms where, again, you could find some incredible candidates. So are you looking at social networks? Are you looking at relevant groups within social networks? Are you looking at, for example, the graduate pool at a particular university that populates a Facebook group? Are you looking at groups where people are in search of particular jobs or looking for certain types of companies? So there's social media platforms that you can use to find incredible candidates. So my HR team are watching this right now. I'm using Zoom Spotlight, and Yashasvi and Malvika, you don't know that our best SEO in terms of knowledge and ability, who's training the entire team, I found through my Facebook. I didn't find through anything else. And he then found two other people. He found Waleed, he found Farman, and then Farman, he found Gulam because Farman and Gulam work at a different company and they both come over to work here. And then Farman's cousin applied. All started with me going onto Facebook. So I just want to underline that some of our best candidates, for those of you who are listening, our operations director, we found through a platform called Handshake. Our best SEO in terms of technical knowledge right now, we found through Facebook. Our HR team is through Internshala. Are you spotting the pattern here? Go wide. Because your next best candidate could be on a platform that you, until today, had never heard of. And this is the key. The key here isn't, okay, Internshala, I'll take that note. Okay, Facebook. It's about the mindset and being continually relentless in your search for new platforms and then going through the trouble of posting, seeing what happens, posting, seeing what happens, and you'll be surprised by what you might find. Okay, so it's imperative that you take these actions and see what can come of it, because then you allow serendipity to come into your ultimately hiring pool because your exposure to the market increases. Okay. Now, the next bucket, and this is something that we're encouraging our team to do. So I'll give you an example. So basically, we've got in our web development and design team, Usman, and Usman complained saying, we need more video editors. We need more video editors. And I know that the HR team are aware of that, but he's saying, oh, we need more video editors. We need more video editors. And I said to him, well, why don't you take matters into your own hands and start posting in Facebook groups that you're in or groups that you're in or put it on your Facebook profile or your status. All of a sudden, within 3 days, Usman said, I found two video editors who seem really good because he's been posting in WhatsApp groups and because there's WhatsApp groups of people as well and messages that get passed around. So evangelize your actual team to find candidates of their own. Give them the process where they say, you know what, I'm not, how do I do that? Easy. You got a LinkedIn profile? Just put a status update. Do you know that you can post individual jobs on your own LinkedIn profile, that everyone has access to the LinkedIn job portal? And can you imagine if you have 5 or 10 people in the company that post themselves on their profiles, the exposure to their network that you get? And of course, we want to take our top candidates. You want to take your top people and you want exposure to their network because then you tend to increase the value of it. So now multiply that out. If you find that you have X amount of people in the company, and again, not all people and their networks are equal, of course, but if you instill the principle, all it takes is one. Just in the Ali Abeid example, Ali found Farman, Farman brought his other colleague from work who's senior to him, Ghulam, and then Ali also found Waleed because Ali hangs out in lots of advanced SEO communities, and these SEOs don't like the job boards. Because also what's interesting about it is the most talented candidates will often not be using job boards whatsoever because the most talented candidates also don't need the work. So you need to find other means of ultimately finding them. Now, this is where you get into the stage of, well, that's what you pay recruiters for, to poach and to headhunt, of course. And that's not always going to be practical for you because if I'm being completely honest, I know what I want. I know the cultural fit. We've hired recruitment agencies. We've paid them thousands of dollars and thousands of pounds, and it's not worked. It's just not worked because they haven't understood our culture. They haven't understood the fit. And we had 1, 2, 3. We ended up spending over £5,000 in the HR team who were listening, £5,000 to £7,500 on 3 candidates who within 3 months weren't a good fit for Pearl Lemon. Maybe 4, in fact. Maybe, no, hold on. So there was Dino, 1, 2, 5 or 6 across several recruitment agencies. So recruitment agencies can work and recruitment agencies do work, and it's not a slight upon recruitment agencies at all. But what I'm saying is that I want to evangelize you to take means into your own hands because there's a lot of people that, for example, are great. So this is what happened in the case of, for example, Ali Abeid. So he's a really amazing SEO and he doesn't need to work. There's several people in our company that you two aren't necessarily aware of. So Waleed and Ali Abeid make enough income to not need to work at Pearl Lemon. But they're solopreneurs who want to see what it's like to work in a corporate organization and they want to get international exposure. So they're happy to come and work. And of course they're paid, but they don't need the money. They want the value. Does this make sense, Yashaswi and Malvika? And I know that you didn't know this. So there's lots of people who are super fucking talented who recruiters will never find either because they're not at companies. They're working for themselves. So imagine that vast array of people who build their own small businesses or build their own solopreneurship career or strike out on their own. And at some point, maybe it's difficult. Maybe they want supplementary income. Maybe they want more international exposure. How do you find those guys? Because they don't even know that they're looking for work. So they're not on the job boards. Recruiters can't find them. Where do you find them? Through your network, by your team posting on platforms that they're living and breathing on, and also in hubs and communities online where relevant people hang out. So the SEOs hang out in SEO groups and the digital marketers hang out in digital marketing groups. So I encourage you, when you think about recruitment, to think really expansively about how you can find the next amazing person on your team.